Well, I'll kind of pick up right there. The question of, can the 100-block plan work? And I think the real question is, can anything work when you have so few police officers? I mean, that's a real question. And but of course, it is your job to make it work one way or the other. And so, we're going to hold you accountable to that. But as to the question of officers, at the next Rules Committee, I'm going to bring forth a request to schedule a discussion in the budget of finding about $3.2 million, one place or another, in order that the police department could schedule a second police academy in October, which this committee talked about with the chief in, I think, maybe the last public safety committee, that the chief said that this sheriff's department is running an academy that starts in October, and we have all these applicants to the police department, and we're going to be running our own academy in August, but there's the potential to run another one in October if we had the money to do it. And so that will have to be a council decision and I think it'll be in the context of the city administrator sharing the broader perspective about the budget. So that is something we can consider. I will say to the public, that would not actually long-term increase the size of the police department. It would just prevent it from shrinking even further. So we've got in our current budget, the police department is projected to shrink through just regular attrition to exceedingly low levels in another year, and it's unacceptable. So but getting back to the plan, I think this plan is a totally rational plan, and I'm going to talk about just the police department piece of it, which is focusing the special units. The police department has always had special units, and it is focusing the special units in the place where there is the most serious crime and the most crime, and that is a completely rational, reasonable thing to do. I also kind of had to chuckle as I read if you can chuckle about any of this stuff, that as I read the report and the strategic plan that Chief Batts had brought forth and we approved in 2010, that this tactical plan that Chief Jordan is talking about is right out of the strategic plan. It's not, something the mayor dreamed up, when she got elected. It's a continuation of the strategic plan that the police department committed to in 2010, and so it's not so novel, so different. I think it's a very rational approach. The key, though, is it going to work? And the piece that I didn't see in the report that I would like to see is some very specific measurements of success or effectiveness of the plan. And so I think you have to look at it in a lot of different ways. And with the new forensic logic data system, I think we have the ability to crunch those numbers. So looking, right within the target areas, the 100 blocks, did the violent crime go up or down, but also looking citywide. So we know that in the last 3 months, a lot of property crimes and even robberies did go up in other parts of the city, and that's very concerning. We don't want to ignore that. So our analysis of whether the approach works has to look at both city impacts citywide, and to really look at what's going on in each part of the city as well as the target area. I also would like to see the police department report on whether or not they actually were able to arrest any of the individuals that you targeted as sort of the real high risk, the people that the small number of people who commit a lot of crimes. As to those people that you have identified through your intelligence gathering that you're going after, how many did you catch? So I think, and some of this there may be some of the data that you don't want to share publicly, but I think most of it can be shared publicly, certainly about the crime stats. So I would like to propose that kind of analysis, when come back to this committee, I mean, you need to have some time to crunch those numbers and do all that, but I would like to see that come back. I also realize that any plan takes a while to have an effect, and I don't expect you to, I mean, 90 days isn't very long, you just got started. And so my understanding is you're going to have another 90-day plan, and then yet, I mean, every 90 days, the idea is you're going to revise it a little bit? You want to
Yes.
speak to that, Chief?
We have been doing this for a number of years where we look at plans on, reevaluate it every 90 days, because that's just about the right amount of time that it takes for the plan to be impacted, and we can evaluate whether it's working or not. It also gives us, it's also tied into our policies about transferring people from units to other units. We're only required to keep them there for 90 days at a time. So if we have a plan that we want to work, we want to move people around, we try to do it in conjunction with our rotation for loans in the department. So that's kind of how we do it. So we are in our second 90-day period, and there will be a third and there will be a fourth until the end of the year.
Madam Chair, so can we have
Yes.
a report in the next 90 days, and can we also have the clearance rate for last year, no, from last year and the year before that?
The clearance rate for crimes that
Yes.
where they've solved them?
Yeah.
For certain, just for
For the
homicides? or-
last, no, just the
for-
clearance rate overall. I mean, we used to get a
Do you know
report.
what that means?
We used to get a report to public safety when I chair regarding the clearance rate
Right,
of Part
so
1 crimes.
Part 1 crimes is yes. If we can just, because we would prefer to just narrow it down to Part 1 crimes because that's a little more measurable. But we can definitely, so you want a comparison from 2 years ago, last year and this year? So going back to 2010?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's for the clearance rate. But then as to the 90-day plan, it would be, how soon could you bring that? In another 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
Well,
6 weeks?
we just started our second 90 days.
Right.
So that will end in, let's see, April, May, June. So maybe at the beginning or the mid part of July, the report will be available.
Well, that would, but you're talking about I'm talking about as the 90 days that just finished. I'd like to see your analysis of what happened in the first 90-day plan, and then subsequently when the second 90-day plan would be July, I guess.
So you want an update on the 90-day violent reduction plan?
Yeah,
Okay. Or results?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not that we're going to say you have to stop doing it. What we just want to see what is going on in the city crime-wise.
No, and actually, that's a standard practice for us, where I've actually asked for that report last week at my staff meeting, because I want to know, did it work? Is it not working? Do we need more money? Do we need less money? Do we need to readjust? And so those are some of the things I've actually asked my staff to produce. But the report will probably take, what is today? So probably by the end of May, if we can have till the end of May to produce the report.
Okay, so that would be the second public safety meeting in May. I don't know quite what that date is.
No, it's 22nd. 22nd.
22nd? Okay, good. Let's shoot for that.
And can I just get some clarification?
yeah.
Does that also include in that report the clearance rate and the other stuff that Mr. Reed is asking for?
Not necessarily the
You can
clearance
bring
rate,
it separate, Chief.
but
Sure.
would that
Through
be
the
okay with
chair.
you,
Yeah.
Mr. Reed? So, but I would like you to report on whether any of the individuals that you were targeting were apprehended or charged.
Okay.
I mean, this report does say that that you are going not only after geographic areas, but after individuals. And if that is the case, I'm curious what happened with those individuals, or even how many individuals you were targeting, and, are they still
Okay.
out there? Okay. Also, wanted to chime in on the subject of the ceasefire call-ins. I think you're hearing that there is great support in the community for doing the call-ins and doing them in the way that has been effective in some other cities. And so in talking with you informally, I know that you've been talking with with David Kennedy, and I believe that, I think Sarah Bedford and Reagan, you were going to be talking to David Kennedy even this week on the phone. So, so it's good that there's this level of communication, because I think we all want to make sure that we have all the pieces in place, and not only the carrot part of offering these guys a way out of their criminal lifestyle, but also the ability to follow up with the bad consequences if, you know, if they continue to be shooters, they will, you know, that you're able to track them and actually go after them. So, but I think everybody is interested in a discussion here about what are, you know, what are the elements of a successful call-in. Committee members, do you want to have that discussion?
It's of greater priority to me that they do it than that they come here and talk about it. But if
Yeah,
them
me
coming
too.
here and talking about it is going to make them do it, then great.
Well,
I agree. I think, you know, a lot of people have read the book. I certainly have. I just want to see it implemented at this
Yeah,
point.
actually, I do too. And the key thing is that you're talking to David Kennedy, not that we are. So, and that that you want to talk a little bit about it, because you and I have talked, and I know that you've given it a lot of thought, and you were kind of ready to go, but there was the probation department had to step back a bit. And
Right. So we've actually been working with the mayor's office. Reagan has been very instrumental in trying to organize our next call-in session. So we're trying to time it with some significant events that are going to take place in Oakland in May. And I can't really get into a lot of those events because they involve other agencies that I'm not privy to discuss right now. But we're trying to time that so that at the end of some of those actions, police actions, we have something to show that this is what happens when you focus on a particular group. Use them as an example, and as you call people in, we want to tell them that, you know, this is what will happen when you don't follow the law. So we're actually have the groundwork to do that. I've met with the probation chief probation officer, LaDonna Harris, who's interim right now, and she's still committed to being a part of our team. Obviously, we have to shift some of our focus because the work that they were doing has to be done by someone else, but we're on board. The mayor's office has been shown a lot of leadership in that regard. And also our Department of Human Services, Sarah Bedford, has also been at the table. So we've got commitment from probation and as well as parole to be a part of that strategy. So we're looking at possibly around June or July for a series of these strategies. And in the meantime, we are going to be meeting with some of the key stakeholders and the consultants to help us understand what works best for Oakland. I think we have an idea, but none of us are experts in this area. We've seen how it's worked before. It lacked some of the things that I think we needed to do. We've learned from that, and so we're prepared to move on to make it work for Oakland.
okay, thank you very much. So